In the late 60s, there are a few radical groups more controversial than the Black Panthers.
You Ronnie Baby.
The Black Panther Party was truly the first in-your-face movement in the history of this country.
Led by the dynamic personalities of Bobby Seale, Huey Newton, and Eldridge Cleaver, the Panthers boldly challenged white America to deliver justice and opportunity.
When the party says power to the people, we ain't diving a pound. We say power to the people.
Our slogan was about all power to all the people. That's what it was about.
Armed with guns, they advocate self-defense.
The police occupy our community as a foreign troop occupies territory.
And, if need be, the violent overthrow of the government.
You sort of had this idea it was this rogue group of out-of-control black people with guns shooting police.
We say, bring it on. If you want war, let there be war.
They are attacked by the FBI and police, turning city streets into battlegrounds.
Message received. To be a member of the Black Panther meant you were a target of the United States government.
It cost people their lives, you know.
But the Black Panthers never backed down.
It was heroes to the black community because they spoke up and said what they had to be said.
These are the counterculture icons who changed the world. In this hour, the Black Panthers, Lords of the Revolution.
I am a revolutionary.
It's the mid-1960s, the dawning of the era of Black Pride, and two visions of the black struggle in America compete for ascendancy. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King stands for Gandhian nonviolence.
I have a dream.
Malcolm X sees Dr. King as too cautious and unwilling to retaliate against white violence.
We declare our right on this earth to be given the rights of a human being by any means necessary.
In February 1965, Malcolm is assassinated, and by August, Watts is burning.
6 days of rioting in a Negro section of Los Angeles left behind scenes reminiscent
TV, you see the civil rights marches in the South. You see the dogs being sicked on the marchers, being showered and beaten.
The tide of nonviolence was changing in America. People had a more militant attitude, and it was led by young people. And we weren't going to take the same that our parents took.
The new black militancy is led by Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown, who raise their fists in a rallying cry, Black Power.
Black Power sort of released this tremendous excitement and energy. It was sort of like a huge cultural earthquake.
In a 3 to 5 year period, we went from identifying ourselves as Negro to colored to black. I thought it was great. Black was beautiful.
And it's that moment in which the Black Panther Party came to the fore.
In Oakland, two student activists at Merritt College, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, are determined to create a revolutionary organization to address what they see as the problem of the racist power structure in America.
We had absolutely no name for this organization. And Huey says, well, why don't we just name it the Black Panther Party? I said, agreed, shake, shake, shake. I said, okay, bang.
They chose this image of the Panther as the coolest cat in the jungle. It looked really sleek and was really cool, but would only fight when it was backed into the corner.
After flipping a coin, Bobby becomes chairman and Huey Minister of Defense. They're an unusual pair, to be sure. Huey is a legendary street fighter with 6 months of law school under his belt.
In America, black people are treated very much as the Vietnamese people or any other colonized people because we're brutalized. The police occupy our community as a foreign troop occupies territory.
Huey was very smart in terms of political theories, and Bobby was an organizing genius.
Bobby is a jazz drummer, comedian, carpenter, and draftsman working in Oakland for a youth jobs program. He is a natural-born rapper.
When the party says power to the people, we ain't jiving a pound. We say power to the people.
Our slogan was about all power to all the people, a progressive people's community empowerment. That's what it was about.
We would say black power to black people, red power to red people, brown power to brown people, yellow power to yellow people. People ain't never heard that before.
October 1966, Huey and I drew up a basic 10-point platform and program that outlined the basic political desires and needs of black people in America.
The 10-point program combines basic demands for full employment and decent housing with more radical objectives like the exemption of black men from military service.
The ultimate goal of the Black Panther Party was the total transformation of the United States.
Point number 7 is by far the most controversial: an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of black people. Huey and Bobby put the idea into action by following the police with guns and law books in hand to prevent incidents of harassment.
We were all armed with loaded weapons, as long as they were not concealed whether or not illegal under California law. And Huey, in all his need to be precise and to the point, no, such and such a California State Supreme Court ruling states that every citizen has a right to stand and observe a police officer carrying out his duty as long as they stand a reasonable distance away. I'm standing approximately 20 feet from you and observe you whether you like it or not. So he had researched the law. This is the killer of this whole kind of operation. We knew what we were doing.
For Huey to stand up against that onslaught with a gun in his hand, says, you try to shoot me, I would shoot you, I would defend myself. That's like throwing a rock into a pond and watching the waves happen throughout America. No one had ever did that.
Members of the Oakland PD are outraged, but a folk legend is born and news of the Panthers' existence begins to spread.
I became the first female recruit. And I said, well, can I have a gun? Like the guys. And they laughed and said, well, okay.
The Panthers solidify their image with an intimidating, militant look.
The thing about the Panthers was their black jackets and their fros and their shades. That was like, whoa.
To me, uniform represents organization. If the people in the community see that you're organized, then you're going to get a lot more respect.
Oh, we were cute, okay. Very recognizable.
The Black Panther Party very much became a part of the look of the 60s and pop culture of the 60s.
The Panthers protest rent evictions, they demand a traffic light at a dangerous intersection, and publish a newspaper addressing community issues.
I've done nobody wrong, but I'm treated so bad.
As the Black Panther Party grows in stature, a conservative lawmaker introduces a gun control bill designed to stop the party in its tracks. On May 2, 1967, Bobby Seale leads 30 Black Panthers to Sacramento to take on the state legislature, while Huey stays in Oakland to manage the press.
When we got there, Ronald Reagan was on the front line, talking to future leaders of America or something. And so the young kids saw us coming up to walk with all these guns and rifles, and a whole horde of them came over to us. They thought we were a gun club. So naturally, some of the news cameras followed.
The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense calls upon the American people in general, and the black people in particular, to take careful note of the racist California legislature.
Next, they enter the assembly where the bill is being discussed.
The state assembly was in the midst of a heated debate when the young Negroes, armed with loaded rifles, shotguns, and pistols, pushed past startled guards into the House chamber.
I look around and several legislators have ducked under their damn desks. They look up and see these black people coming here with these damn guns and rifles and
Am I under arrest? Take your hands off me if I'm not under arrest.
The police, of course, were dazed and confused, as you might say.
But I'll tell you one thing, I was scared.
As soon as the Panthers leave the state capitol building, they're swarmed by police.
Cops came and methodically arrested every last one of us.
They violated the law by entering the chambers while the assembly was in session.
I went to court and I was sentenced to 6 months in jail.
They put trumped-up charges of conspiracy and felonies on everyone who went in to exercise a constitutional right.
The events of this day have a polarizing effect. For Black America, the Panthers represent a new, in-your-face form of protest.
That was what we call a colossal event. Bobby Seale read that mandate that went across this country like wildfire.
No one had ever taken guns into a Capitol, and I was a junior in high school and seen that, and it kind of blew my mind.
For the white establishment, the Panthers represent pure chaos.
There is absolutely no reason why out on the street today a civilian should be carrying a loaded weapon.
In a short time, the Panther Bill, as the party calls it, is passed. It is now illegal to carry a loaded weapon in California. But the government isn't going to stop there. The FBI is now watching the Panthers' every move.
That was the wrong thing to do. You do not walk up the steps of any state capitol in the United States carrying rifles and shotguns and expect everybody to say, "Oh boy, isn't that nice?" They were lucky they weren't shot right there.
It's 1967, and the hippies flock to San Francisco to celebrate the Summer of Love, while in Detroit and Newark, racial tensions with police erupt in violence, leaving the cities in ruins. It has been months since the Panthers stormed the state capitol. As a result, Chairman Bobby Seale is serving 6 months in jail, along with most of the membership. Huey Newton, Minister of Defense, is struggling to keep the party together.
Huey came to see me in jail. He said, "The party's over. You know, we lost the office." I said, "Well, Huey, when I get out, I'll reorganize everything." Next thing I know, Huey is arrested, and he's also wounded, shot in the side.
Early on the morning of October 28th, Huey is stopped by police. A quick and deadly gun battle erupts, but it's unclear who fires first.
The facts: 9 shots, 1 dead policeman, another wounded, a bloody law book on the street, and Newton shot. He was seriously wounded, taken to the hospital, where on the operating table he found himself surrounded by policemen who threatened him.
Newton recovers from his wounds but is charged with murder, thrown in jail, and is now facing the gas chamber.
I'll only tell the truth and express my innocence, which I am innocent.
With founders Huey and Bobby in jail, a new and provocative leader emerges, Eldridge Cleaver. His best-selling book of prison writings, Soul on Ice, has made him a media sensation.
Eldridge Cleaver became a pop icon. He was a best-selling author. He was an ex-convict who admitted that he was in prison for rape. He was crazy, but brilliant at the same time.
This is a combination that people weren't quite prepared for. But his attitude was, ready or not, here we come.
We are not in a mind to sit around to observe this and to build monuments to Huey or to sing songs about Huey. We will go down with Huey.
Eldridge and his wife Kathleen together stepped forward as the primary spokespeople for the party.
All power to the people!
If Eldridge was the Minister of Information, she was the Mistress of Information. She became like the spokeswoman of the Black Panther Party.
Everybody knows that all the people don't have liberties, all the people don't have freedom, and all the people don't have power, so that means none of us do.
Kathleen Cleaver was like the ideal symbol of black beauty in terms of what a revolutionary black woman was.
Dig it? Isn't it beautiful? All right.
Eldridge and Kathleen put together the whole defense committee on trying to save Huey's life.
We had a lot of rallies, and we did as much to collect money for his legal defense, as possible.
When Huey Newton was arrested, he was charged with killing a policeman. You never heard of any black youth killing a white policeman. So this was like everybody noticed. And we were able to build on that and tell people who Huey Newton was and what the Black Panther Party stood for.
Free Huey!
April 4th, 1968. Martin Luther King is assassinated in Memphis. Riots explode in over 100 cities across America. Cleaver sees the moment of black revolution as having arrived.
We say, bring it on. If you want war, let there be war. This is what we're saying. Is that clear?
On the night of April 6th, he appears in Oakland with an armed caravan of Panthers, including 17-year-old Bobby Hutton, the party's first recruit.
In a shootout with police, Hutton had holed up in this basement with Eldridge Cleaver, the party's Minister of Information. Cleaver came out of the house stark naked, defenseless. Hutton ran, police said, and died.
Bobby Hutton came out with his hands in the air and was gunned down by this racist pig department of Oakland.
We found out that he was dead and Eldridge was arrested. We went back down to the house where it happened. There were so many bullet holes in that house. And of course there was blood all over the street. And it was the most sickening sight I ever saw.
I walked through, it was just eerie. It's not a police action, okay? It was war.
The Black Panther Party is now under siege. Community empathy swells during Hutton's funeral, which is attended by thousands, including Marlon Brando, signaling the growing support of Hollywood figures.
That could have been my son lying there. And I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to start right now.
Eldridge Cleaver is now in prison, charged with assault and attempted murder on police.
It was pretty devastating. That doesn't look like a person who's going to get out, but he did.
He was freed by a Superior Court judge who said Cleaver was held not as a criminal, but because of his political beliefs.
The judge's decision stuns law enforcement. Cleaver is released in June on $50,000 bail. The Peace and Freedom Party nominate him for President of the United States, and he emerges fired up to confront the entire California white establishment.
Don't call me nigga. And I want to thank Mickey Mouse and Ronald Reagan.
Here comes this man that had the nerve to call, the governor of California, Mickey Mouse Ronald Reagan.
And I have a special little word for Ronald Reagan in the morning. You, Ronnie, baby.
And then challenge Ronald Reagan to a duel.
I challenge the punk to a duel to the death, and he can choose his own weapons. Could be a gun, a knife, or marshmallow. I'll beat him to death with a marshmallow.
And he occupies the kind of place in pop culture that someone like a Tupac, almost like a 50 Cent, Eldridge did that and then some because there was political purpose behind it.
Cleaver's fiery rhetoric brings the Panthers national attention. His derogatory term for the police becomes a potent anti-establishment slogan.
Huey called them racist dog police. Eldridge is the one started calling them pigs.
Specifically, it was coined about the police and then expanded to the greedy, avaricious pig businessmen and the fascist pig politicians. And that fired the imagination of people who just thought that we just had to take it.
It's common speak, this F the police comes long before NWA's song.
What Eldridge did was put the Black Panther Party on the map. He was the person who had the sort of what you would call now the media strategy. He envisioned this as a national revolutionary movement, and it became a national revolutionary movement.
In July, Huey's trial opens in Oakland. Thousands of demonstrators gather outside to chant their support.
Black is beautiful.
To white America, we were a nightmare. Very frightening to see men and women talking about all power to the people, death to the pigs.
The revolution has come. Off the pigs. Time to pick up the gun. Off the pigs.
To see these black teenagers in black berets and black leather jackets out on the courthouse steps chanting Free Huey, this was quite spectacular for young black people, so they loved it.
Off the pigs.
Black America is emboldened by the Panthers. Tommy Smith and John Carlos raised their fists at the 1968 Olympics. James Brown sings Say It Loud, and the world is listening.
James Brown doesn't say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, unless you have a movement that kind of like comes before it. It ignited this quest for being at least a little bit intellectual, but also at the same time not take no shit. And that was a rough pill for America to swallow.
By the summer of '68, the Free Huey movement has helped build the Black Panther Party into a vibrant national organization with over 5,000 members.
Now, Huey Newton is a hero to many young people. His Black Panthers, the most talked about black organization in the United States.
In September, a jury finds Huey Newton guilty of manslaughter, sentencing him to 2 to 15 years in prison. That November, Eldridge Cleaver learns the decision granting his release has been reversed. He's headed back to prison.
The 33-year-old Cleaver has spent half his life behind bars. He said earlier this week that he can't go back, and so the question remains, will Cleaver surrender later today?
What would you like him to do?
Not go back to prison.
Is there any way it can be avoided?
Yes.
In what way?
Just don't go.
Rather than go back to prison, Eldridge went underground. So he disappeared in November 1968.
Do you know where he is now?
No.
What about Eldridge Cleaver? Is he in Cuba and is he happy there?
I don't know where Eldridge Cleaver is. I assume that he's somewhere in the third world.
With Huey in jail and Eldridge on the run, Bobby Seale uses the momentum of the party's growth to institute a series of social programs.
The Panthers are proudest of their free breakfast program for black children. Panthers say that 6,000 children are served breakfast across the country each week.
I had 5,000 members in 49 cities throughout the United States of America. So I said, we're going to help organize and unify people. In opposition to this power structure, we're going to serve the damn people.
The Free Breakfast Initiative is just the first of the party's survival programs, designed to educate and organize the people.
I was actually in the Black Panther Party lunch program. I'm hungry, I'm out here playing, and these lunches are slamming. It was from the Black Panther Party. Whoa. Free Huey.
Soon the Panthers open a liberation school, establish free medical clinics, and give away food and clothing all over the nation.
That's what the Black Panther Party is about. We're about serving people really. So many of our programs were the predecessors for programs that we take for granted now.
This was clear evidence of social commitment, but they focused in on what they would like to call criminal behavior.
As the Panthers gain members, they move directly into the sights of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, who declares them the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States.
The late 60s, Hoover ordered the FBI to start an aggressive campaign against the Black Panther Party. No one could question his authority, and if they did, they're gone.
Formed in 1957 to target communists, Hoover's counterintelligence program, known as COINTELPRO, is now aimed directly at the Panthers.
We were being infiltrated at a rapid rate. Every 4 or 5 people was an FBI informant.
They said, hey, we want you to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, which I did. I was from the hood, you know, so I knew what to say and how to say it.
In his memos, Hoover warns his agents to be on the lookout for a, quote, black messiah who could unify and electrify the black nationalist movement. In Los Angeles, the FBI perceives such a leader in Al Prentice Bunchy Carter. Together with Deputy Minister John Huggins and his wife Erica, the party is gaining power by organizing LA gangs. The FBI conceives of a scheme to neutralize the chapter by exploiting an existing feud with a rival black nationalist group, the US organization.
The FBI wanted to pit one group against the other, hoping that if they got into a gang fight, maybe they'd kill each other, and that'd be that.
They're drawing cartoons and sending letters and manipulating.
The rivalry comes to a head at UCLA, where Bunchy and John are students.
Several shots were fired by an unknown person or persons. As a result, Mr. Huggins and Mr. Carter were killed instantly.
I first heard about it from a fellow agent on the squad that 2 informants had just killed 2 Panthers on the UCLA campus.
The US organization were running dogs. They work for the FBI.
At this time, we have not identified any particular suspects.
Did you capture the 4 men who went out the building?
No.
My daughter was 3 weeks old, And so I wasn't on the UCLA campus. I got a phone call from the Black Panther Party office in South Central. A friend said, Erica, 2 brothers have been shot. And of course, in that moment, I knew exactly what he meant. And then I said, are they dead? And then both of us were silent. And he said, yes, they're dead.
It's a sort of one of those horrible turning points. After that, everything else is different.
Over the next several months, there will be raids in cities across the country. On April 2nd in New York, 21 Panthers are arrested in a pre-dawn raid.
The door flew off the hinges, and I was thrown to the floor and handcuffed and whizzed down to Manhattan Supreme Court. And I remember walking in and seeing, it seemed like every Panther I knew there, also in chains.
The grand jury has returned an indictment containing 12 counts, all felonies, charging members of the Black Panther Party with the conspiracy to bomb New York City department stores.
People were calling us the New York Panther 21, and people were calling us political prisoners. And this wasn't a joke. They intended to give us 300+ years.
The growing presence of FBI informers is causing Panthers to turn on each other. In New Haven, Panthers torture and murder a suspected informant.
The investigation began yesterday afternoon following the discovery of a slain man lying in a river in Middlefield.
Police arrest Erica Huggins, founder of the New Haven chapter, and other local Panthers on conspiracy to murder. Bobby Seale is also indicted.
They wanted Bobby Seale. That's what they were after. And the claim was that Bobby had ordered the death of this man and that I had encouraged him to do so.
The Black Panther Party is now reeling and on the defensive, but not about to back down. By August 1969, the era of peace and love is coming to an end. President Richard Nixon declares war on student activists, hippies, and radicals. Black Panther Party chairman Bobby Seale, in addition to his New Haven indictment, is arrested for charges connected to protests outside the '68 Democratic National Convention.
You had Huey in jail on the one end. You had Eldridge Cleaver in exile. And they probably said, damn, we missed the guy. This is the guy we should have put in jail in the first place.
The indictments against the Chicago Eight accuse Seale and 7 white radicals of conspiring to incite a riot. Denied the attorney of his choice, Seale demands the right to represent himself.
He showed up without a lawyer, and he stood up to make an opening statement, and the judge told him to sit down. And he kept talking, and he said, I have the right to represent myself.
I said, if you deny my right, I see you only as a racist, a fascist, and a bigot.
That went on for several days until they chained him, gagged him.
They leg cuffed me with metal cuffs, metal handcuffs to a metal folding chair, put some tape over my mouth. And so I said, I want my constitutional right to defend myself.
It was frightening. You could hear him through the gag, fighting.
So I said, clang, 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 and I'm making noise. You can't have a trial with some guy chain shackling gag, and they recessed the court for the day.
The courtroom sketches of the bound and gagged Bobby Seale provoke an outrage that resonates far beyond the Black liberation movement.
When I saw that he had 16 pieces of adhesive tape strapped across his mouth, I knew that we would unite in this country to stop this trial.
As the drama of the trial plays out, a charismatic 20-year-old named Fred Hampton becomes the leader of the Chicago branch of the Black Panther Party.
Black people need some peace. White people need some peace. And we are going to have to fight. We're going to have to struggle. We're going to have to struggle relentlessly to bring about some peace.
He was taking these gang members that numbered in the thousands and turning them into a revolutionary force. And for that, he had to go, as far as the system was concerned.
14 policemen burst into a West Side Chicago apartment said to be a stronghold of the Black Panthers. They suspected weapons were stored there. Fred Hampton, deputy chairman of the Illinois Panthers, was killed in his bed. Mark Clark, a friend from Peoria, was also shot to death.
Chicago officials claim that the police have defended themselves accordingly when attacked by Panthers. But evidence soon proves otherwise.
This door, which is the door entering into the living room, has 2 holes in it.
We were able to show, based on film, that all the bullets coming into that apartment came from one direction, and that was from the police side. One had gone out.
This blatant act of legitimatized murder strips all credibility from law enforcement. In the context of other acts against militant blacks in recent months, it suggests an official policy of systematic repression.
He was murdered in his sleep. He was drugged by an informant who gave the floor plan of this safe house he was living in to the FBI.
It was the first time that I ever realized this is a conspiracy of government and prosecutors and judges and the whole power elite to destroy these people.
What happened to Fred Hampton made us think that they weren't coming in just to do arrests, they were coming in to murder people.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
By the end of the year, nearly every Panther office across America is attacked by police and FBI, culminating in the December raid on the LA headquarters in a standoff that takes 5 hours and is covered on live TV. For the first time, mainstream news organizations begin talking about the genocide of the Panthers.
Message received. To be a member of the Black Panther meant you were a target of the United States government.
The events of the year set off an outpouring of support as the Panthers raised mass organizing to a new level.
Free the Panthers off the page! Free the Panthers off the page!
Part of my job was to coordinate all the massive rallies of support and so forth.
The Black Panther Defense Committee are calling for a mass rally to be held May 1st in New Haven.
When Big Man came and they needed a safe house, I got sort of pulled into it. A nice white kid from the suburbs who volunteered his father's apartment for the largest Panther I ever saw in my life, and his white girlfriend and his automatic. I thought, God, if my father walks in now, it's gonna be to pay, man.
Attention to the Panthers' struggle for survival also draws celebrities to the cause.
Bert Snyder, producer of Easy Rider, Candice Bergen, Jane Fonda. These were all folks who related to what the Black Panther Party was doing.
I found myself winding up in places like Jane Fonda's penthouse, talking to wealthy people about what was going on in the Panther 21 case. It wasn't lost on us that it was a little bit of a paradox and a trip to be in someone's gorgeous townhouse. But we thought that if they were willing to donate, that we would take this money and that we would do good with it.
In August 1970, with Panther support at its peak, Huey Newton is released after nearly 3 years of incarceration.
The members and admirers of the Black Panther Party were gathered by the hundreds at the Alameda County Courthouse. Inside, Huey P. Newton, founder of the Black Panther Party, was freed on $50,000 bail, pending a new trial on the charge of voluntary manslaughter.
It was a beautiful thing. There had to be 5,000 people there to see Huey get out of jail.
When he could be seen above the crowd, Newton tore off his convict shirt. It was a gesture of defiance, of contempt for white authority.
It was such a joyous day because it showed people the power of the people. People walked up and down. They swore Huey was getting the gas chamber. He would never see the streets again. But here he is out on the streets. And that was a people's victory.
It seems a remarkable moment of vindication. What nobody can imagine is the party is about to tear itself apart. By 1971, the once unified leadership of the Black Panther Party seems worlds apart.
Just get your feet back on the ground.
With Bobby Seale still stuck in a prison cell, Huey Newton takes control of the party and, to the surprise of many, softens his militant stance.
Since his celebrated release in 1970, Huey Newton's attitude has changed. America's most famous urban guerrilla, now says that he rejects the rhetoric of the gun.
The talk about the gun has proven more detrimental to the party in many cases than an aid to the party and the People's Revolution.
At the same time, Eldridge Cleaver finally emerges after 2 years underground. He's halfway around the world in Algeria, where he and Kathleen have started an international branch of the party.
Power to the people.
We petitioned the government to allow us to create an office there because what Eldridge wanted was a base where people could come, get trained in guerrilla tactics, and go back to the United States.
Unlike Huey Newton, Cleaver is still preaching a provocative doctrine of armed revolution.
When the American people hear that you want to shoot your way into the United States Senate, take off the head of a senator.
And take off the head of Richard Nixon, you see?
Well, what does that mean? This is rhetoric?
This is not rhetoric. I'm telling you that all of the pigs of the power structure have to be apprehended.
And Eldridge Cleaver, what can I say? He was outraged. He was crazy.
Eldridge is pushing orphan pigs and stuff like that, where Huey is talking about we need to get away from that. We need to go back into the community. We need to rally the people around basic necessities. So you had a split in the ideology of the party. These two personalities were colliding together.
This conflict in ideology will now be exploited by the FBI as agents forge letters to both Newton and Cleaver, playing on their egos and fomenting mistrust.
The FBI did write letters pretending to come from Huey Newton and from Cleaver and from a lot of other people, accusing different people of being informants. It was driving everybody nuts, including Huey Newton.
Huey was made to believe that Eldridge wanted to kill him. And Eldridge was given letters that showed that Huey was trying to distance himself from him, that Huey disrespected him, that, whatever they thought would work.
In February 1971, the conflict comes to a head when Huey Newton publicly kicks Cleaver and the entire international section out of the party. The split divides what's left of the party into factions, with half of the chapters siding with Cleaver, the other half with Newton.
Now, people who you lived with, people who you loved, people who you thought you would give your life for, have become your enemy.
We're not trying to straighten out the party. As far as we're concerned, the party is dead, the party is finished, the party is obsolete.
As the party breaks apart, the Panthers win two significant legal victories. In the spring of 1971, after the longest political trial in New York history, all 21 Panthers are acquitted after 45 minutes of jury deliberation.
It's a total rejection of everything that prosecution stood for. Police statism, undercover agents, wiretapping. To me, it's important. It is so deeply important.
And just 2 weeks later, after a tense and dramatic trial in the New Haven conspiracy case, Erica Huggins and Bobby Seale go free.
In 3 hours, they found me not guilty. Bobby Seale's not guilty. This is trumped up against him.
But these emotional victories are bittersweet. As Bobby Seale returns to leadership, he is forced to deal with a fractured party and with Huey Newton, who is caught in a downward spiral of heavy cocaine use.
When I come out of jail, my 49 chapters and branches of cities that we operate now is down to 28. He was running around calling himself the Supreme Commander. You know what I mean? And I said, damn, that's not what we're about, Huey. He's high on cocaine.
No, I always, I'm a man who listens to the people.
From Huey in that famous picture with the wicker chair, with the shotgun, and the spear, that grew into a reality that created, in some ways, a Frankenstein.
He becomes a victim of the cult of the personality. And instead of going along with established rules of the Black Panther Party, he wants everything to be run his way.
What happens in a situation like this is hundreds of people just leave. This is not something they want to be a part of.
It was like, this is not what we joined. This is what I put my life on the line for. This is not it. This is not it.
For Bobby Seale, who formed the Black Panther Party with Newton just 7 years prior, it is the sad end to a movement that shook the nation.
I left the party in July 1974, and I had stumbled on Huey trying to take over the drug trade in Oakland, California. I says, I got to get out of here. Huey and them is out of their mind. And then I started thinking, I have to kill him. It went through my mind, I have to kill this fool. He's destroying the party. And then I got angrier and angrier. And so I left.
The Black Panther Party in 1974, and by the early 80s, the group is officially disbanded.
It is alive and well in today's youth culture. It's still in the artwork, it's still in the songs, it's still in the lyrics, and to me that's amazing.
Fight the power! Fight the power!
It was heroes to the black community because they spoke up and said what they had to be said. They were teachers, and they kind of taught us as young kids to challenge the information.
That's why 40 years later, the Black Panther Party is still a strong entity in the community. You find young rappers like Boots Riley, Tupac Shakur, Common, all these people talking about the party.
We should have been smarter. We should have been stronger. We should have been more organized. We were up against very, very powerful opposition. We didn't know how powerful our government was. We were ready to change our world.
Power to the people. Power to the people.